Hello, 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 and welcome back. It's Chris. I'm here at Second Glass. It's Cellar Chats. We're talking weekly wine flights. We took a minor hiatus from videos last week. We did a kind of a double down on the Gamay flight, which was just spectacular. But we're bringing it back. First full week of December. We're going to Northern Italy, so you know I'm here for it. And this week we are featuring a producer that we've featured their wines before, but we've never done like a full feature profile on. And this is, to me, one of the most important white wine producers and, families in Northern Italy. And of course, I'm talking about the Venica family of Venica and Venica. Give you a little dose of their label there. These guys are located up in the Collio region of Friuli, Venezia Giulia. That is in the very far northeastern corner of Italy, bordering Slovenia. And then you've got Austria to the north. You got Venice to the south. A really incredible, unique area of Italy that, quite honestly, is really mostly known for their white wine. I mean, they have some red wine production, and there's some really great red wines. But it's one of the few places in Italy where I think that white wine is the dominant focus and has been and always probably will continue to be. I mean, climate change has, it throws a lot of curveballs out there. But nonetheless, white wine is dominant. So we've got two white wines and a red this week. We're going to kick it off with their really wonderful, what I consider to be kind of like an eye-changing Sauvignon Blanc. And in Italy, particularly in Friuli, whenever there's a Sauvignon Blanc, they typically just call it Sauvignon. This is their Ronco de Cerò. They make two different Sauvignon Blancs. This is kind of their entry level. They make another one called Ronco della Mele, I think is what it's referred to, and it is oak aged, so it's a little bigger, richer, denser, a lot more going on. But this to me is, this is the Sauvignon Blanc that I pour or introduce people to whenever I can, that maybe have always loved Sauvignon Blanc but are sort of tired of the same old. This wine just is stunning, absolutely gorgeous, so much fun to drink. So let's get into it. So Venica family has established their estate in 1930. It has been run and owned by the family, and based in the famous Ponca soils of Friuli, and as I mentioned, focused on white wine grape varieties. I mean, they grow local grape varieties up here, Malvasia, Friulano. I think they grow a bit of Refosco, and some Schiapettino, really, really obscure red, amazing wines, hard to come by. And then there's a lot of what we would deem international grape varieties that have really, I don't know how you would put it, they are known as international grape varieties, but they have been in this region for hundreds of years. So there is much part of the culture and history of this region as anything. And those are things like Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Merlot, surprisingly, and also Cab Franc has a fairly strong presence in this area. Merlot more dominant, but Cab Franc is definitely around. And these guys make arguably some of the best Sauvignon Blanc. So, in Italy. That's my personal opinion. There's a couple of the producers up in this area, but Venica is always special. On the nose, wow, it is definitely like nectarines, a little peachy. There's a little bit of a gooseberry, almost like lychee fruit thing going on. Good citrus, a lot of freshness, pretty florals, gorgeous color. I mean, it is just translucent, pretty slightly straw colored yellow. Wow. It's been a minute since I had this. I always love this wine, but I haven't had it in a while. It is such a spectacular wine. Great texture. And while it's finally chilly outside, proper chilly, although, weather is kind of doing a roller coaster for us. It was humid and hot on Sunday. It's nice and cool today, feeling very, very Christmassy. I'm loving it, loving the vibes, loving all the Christmas lights. White wine still makes a lot of sense. I know that we don't think about it because, it's cold, and here in Wilmington, we pretty much decide that anything below 60 degrees is freezing, which is not the case, but I get it. I understand. This wine is, in a strange way, kind of warming, if that makes sense. It's a white wine, it's cold, it's chilled, but like it's got a little like spice and like floral character that kind of warms me up. I feel pretty amazing drinking this. Again, that is the Venica Ronco de Cerò Sauvignon. So pretty. All right, now we're going to move into a wine that you guys are definitely probably familiar with because we've featured it at least 4 times in these flights, and that is the Venica Jesera Pinot Grigio. And I'd have to say this is probably the wine they are most well known for, and for several reasons. One, I think it has always been and continues to be a standout bottling of Pinot Grigio. You know, amongst a basically world of simple, basic, and for lack of a better term, boring Pinot Grigio, the Jesera has always had loads of character. Now, they don't label it as such, and I've said this before, and they don't call it as such, but the wine does see a small bit of skin contact that is very akin to what is referred to as Ramato style Pinot Grigio, and Ramato just translates to copper, and you can tell like just a slight coppery kind of pinkish hue, and this is, you know, how would I explain this? It's kind of like the early stages of if you were going to try and make like an orange wine. So again, very famously from this area, the 2 most famous, most highly regarded orange wine producers, and the guys who are credited for basically reintroducing the orange wine, ancient style of orange wine or amber wine or whatever you want to call it, come from Friuli, and they're basically about, I want to say like 25 minutes east of these guys. They're literally on the border of Slovenia, and that'd be Grauner and Radicon. But there's always been a long history of skin contact Pinot Grigio, and what that really does, and I don't want anybody to like be freaked out by this wine, because sometimes if you pour it, people are like, man, that color seems crazy, like what's going on? There's so much flavor and texture in the grape skins, and in Pinot Grigio particularly, because color to the skin, the grapes are actually not green or white. Oh, we're back. Sorry, little lag time there. The skins on Pinot Grigio, or Pinot Gris as it's known in France, are not, generally speaking, like green or clear or white. They're a little off colors, so they can be brownish orange all the way to like a like red brown color. Like they can be contact can sorry, we're having some connection issues. A little bit of skin contact can really give a lot of texture and color to these wines, which is what makes them so special. So I'm going to stop rambling on about nonsense and smell and taste this wine. This was much like the Sauvignon Blanc, how I like to share that with people who maybe have either become jaded by Sauvignon Blanc or just looking for something new that they've never tried. The Pinot Grigio, this is like my argument of like, Pinot Grigio is great, pay attention to it. Just stop drinking the crappy ones. This is essentially what I try to tell everybody. Just don't drink crappy things. Don't eat crappy things. Don't drink crappy things. Don't be a crappy person. You know, just look for the better things in life. Definitely more like stone fruit characteristics. Great minerality. There's always a level of freshness and texture to this wine that always makes me happy. Oh, yes. That's all the things. So much weight. There's like this almost like apple pear skin kind of texture and flavor. There's a little bit of like bruised fruit, but like in a good way, almost like, you know, like when you have like an apple that's bruised and you can kind of smell it from like the other side of the room. And while it smells amazing, maybe you don't want to eat. I think I'm back. Smell and taste this wine. I'm going to quickly move through this because connection issues appear to be a real problem. So we're going to kind of bump up my timeline here, which is fine. Nobody really wants to listen to me chat anymore, do you? Again, Pinot Grigio, Jesera, a little bit of skin contact, a little coppery. It is absolutely wonderful. If you have given up on Pinot Grigio and you think it's just boring, watery, basic white wine, you need to try this because it will change your mind. All right, into last but not least, Venica Merlot. Okay, this is like a double whammy. It's Merlot, which continues to struggle to find anyone who will fall in love with it. Well, I should take that back. Any new people to fall in love with it, which is a real shame because Merlot is spectacular. It deserves your attention. It deserves to be on your table. Let it happen. You won't regret it. And it's Merlot from Italy, so it's not even from, a place that most people would think of for Merlot. Maybe you might think Tuscany, but I doubt anybody really thinks that. They probably don't even realize how much Merlot is in Tuscany. It's another conversation for another day. That being said, we are up in Friuli. This is cool climate Merlot, which arguably is maybe a better place for Merlot in many places. I mean, so these aren't, the Merlot here is going to be planted in the warmer pockets because it does need more ripeness. But if you remember, Merlot comes from Bordeaux, which is not necessarily a hot place. It's a coastal Atlantic. It's a cool region. It's a damp region. So it actually makes a lot of sense up here in Friuli. Wow. Merlot from these guys and Merlot from this region always has like a sense of spice and this like kind of deeper like plummy fruit that's not like jammy plummy. It's like kind of more complex plum. Like I want to sit here and think about this kind of plum. Because we all do that. We eat plums and go, I would like to contemplate this plum. A little bit of baking spice. It's such a pretty wine. Very delicate color. I mean, it is, I would call it kind of ruby, leaning towards purple. Wow. Yes, love that. Great texture. Wonderful fruit, a little bit of blackberry characteristic. Again, more definitely leaning into that plum character, which is classic Merlot characteristics. I mean, this is cool weather red wine as it was intended. Really fresh, great texture, very warming. Like I said, a little bit of the spice. I mean, this is a stellar lineup. No joke. Get out here, have this amazing lineup, have some great wines, bring your friends. Celebrate the holiday season because you know what, it comes around once a year and we never enjoy it enough because it just moves too fast. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next week for another super fun lineup. Be safe.